Everybody's got a price, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a pod, it's the $1 million man. Podcast in demand. Understand, everybody's got a price. $1 million man. Everybody's got a price.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus D'Angelo, and we are back for another episode of Everybody's Got a Pod. And of course, I could never do it without the man himself, WWE Hall of Famer, the $1 million man, Ted DiBiase. Ted, how you doing, brother?
Marcus, I'm doing pretty good, buddy. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here. This weekend, actually tomorrow, as this episode comes out, I'm officially wrestling the Powers of Pain. They got themselves a couple tag team partners. I got to find myself 3 tag team partners to compete with these guys. But Ted, we talked about it a little bit before, but I'll ask, going into this match, if you're me, Marcus D'Angelo, and you're facing down 2 guys that they're pretty big dudes and a lot of history in wrestling, stuff like that. What's the strategy, Ted? What should I be doing out there?
Listen.
Let them take the reins, huh?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I mean, I would guess. I mean, guys that are established in the business. If I was a newcomer or fresh, I mean, you're pretty fresh. I mean, in terms of whatever, I would just go to them prior to the match and say, "Hey guys, we have a great match, and just tell us what to do."
This took a turn that I really enjoy, because when I was asking that almost like as a character, like, Ted, what should I do? Should I punch him in the face, kind of thing? But I love that you went the real route. So let's talk about this for a minute. This is my first time stepping into the ring with 2 guys that are like real veteran guys. I was in a battle royal with Shane Douglas once. It's as close as I've come. These guys now are like, I'm having a match with them, and they're very experienced. Ted, what's like the do and don't when it comes to like the locker room stuff? I'm used to going up to my opponent and saying like, all right, here's what we should do for our match, and we kind of lay the whole thing out. In this case, I just walk up, introduce myself, and let them kind of call it. Or, I mean, are these guys from the generation of call it in the ring? Should I just plan on doing that? Or like, what are your thoughts on this?
I guess I would look at it this way. Go up to them and respectfully say, "Look, I'm working with you guys tonight, and I'd like to know, it's like, do you want to like lay out a match, or do you want just to call it in the ring? And whatever you say, I do." That type of thing.
Interesting.
I didn't work with these 2 guys a whole lot, but they're pretty smart guys.
They were on your Survivor Series team one year, and I think that that's like as close as you came to them. They were like with you at Survivor Series, but you never like worked against them. You were both heels.
No. So, and generally speaking, the old school way is if the bad guy leads the match, he calls the shots.
Now,
of course,
I'm the bad guy in this case.
Well, and again, but again, like when I started, I was a baby face, for the longest time, and then until Bill Watts, thought I was ready to, become a heel, and start calling the shots. And so, but no, I would be just respectful. And like, hey, what do you guys want to do? You guys are the pros, and I'm the rookie, and just whatever you want to do, I'll do.
All right, let's get into our questions. This is the 26th edition of Ask Ted Anything today. And as always, dude, your listeners, I know 26 of these, and your listeners, as always, they brought some great ones. Do want to remind you people that if you have a question for Ted for a future episode of Ask Ted Anything, he puts up a prompt on his social media so you can respond to that. Or maybe the easiest way is to hit me up in my DMs on Twitter, which is at Marcus P. D'Angelo. go ahead, send me a message there. I'm usually pretty good about responding, and yeah, we'll add it to the notes if it's something we haven't asked before. And with that, Ted, you ready to go ahead and jump into these?
Let's ring the bell and go.
Let's do it. Now, wait, one more thing before we do go. And I think I told you this off air. I don't think that we've talked about it on the podcast yet. I'm starting a new podcast, dude, with one of your peers, and it's going to go up on our YouTube channel. It's a once a month podcast, and it's with Bushwhacker Luke, and
Oh wow.
and we're calling it Bushwhacked. And yeah, so there's what other name would I choose?
Hey,
And
look, I love those guys.
Oh,
You know, Luke, they know. I mean, and I don't even remember, who was like, who was the head of the team, right?
I think they were both in charge.
But that's cool, man.
Yeah, I'm fired up about it and excited. I've been on the phone with Luke a bunch of times, and even just talking to him on the phone, I'm like, damn, I wish I was recording right now. He's like telling these great stories. So yeah, I'm gonna be asking him questions every month, questions from the subscribers of the channel. So get on there. If you're not subscribed, go get subscribed right now. It's youtube.com/@Golden Era Network. All right, Ted, with that, we'll get into these fan questions. If for no other reason, tune into this episode on YouTube to see Ted do the bushwhacker strut there.
Okay.
All right. So first question is from a friend of the show, one of my buddies, Peter D. He asks, "Hi Ted, do tag partners need to get along with each other outside of the ring to succeed in wrestling? Can they not like each other and still be a good team?"
Well, it's okay. Pro wrestling. You look at it as a business. I don't care what business you're in. You're eventually you're going to run into somebody that for whatever reason you don't get along with.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not always, but most of the time.
I know that you weren't a huge fan of Matt Borne. Did you feel like you and Matt Borne still had good chemistry despite the fact that you weren't exactly buddies?
Again, it was one of those things where Matt and I we were compatible in the ring. And quite frankly, the other thing is that I think what Matt understood is that if there's a leader in this team, it ain't you.
Mm-hmm.
It was me. So, but yeah, and Matt was a good hand, but just gosh, nobody liked him.
Yeah.
He was just a shitty person.
I've heard that sentiment echoed quite a lot about Matt Borne, but like, what a hell of a worker, dude. When I go back and I do match study, I watch some of his stuff and I'm like, fuck, he could really go.
He could really go, and I don't know if, and maybe obviously he knew that too. And I don't know what the deal was, but whether he was trying to use, that as a reason for we're going to do this my way, and of course, if he was tagging with me, I said, we're not going to do it your way. We're going to do it my way, because I was the senior guy.
Yep.
Or I should say maybe the more established guy.
More experience.
And I would even tell him, I said, hey, I'm welcome to any ideas you have. I mean, it's not like, I'm not going to be the Gestapo out there. It's just, and we managed to have a very good business relationship, put it that way.
Don't always have to like people. It was a good question, Peter D. I appreciate that. Kev Jakes is up next. What did you think of it when Bret Hart beat Ric Flair for the WWF Championship? Yeah, that's one of those moments in wrestling that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. This was kind of the transition from Vince McMahon pushing the really, really big guys over top cartoon type characters to the smaller, more athletic guys like Bret, Shawn Michaels. What were your thoughts when Bret Hart became WWF champion?
I thought it was great. Number one, I think the world of Bret Hart. I mean, there's so many similarities. He, like me, came from a wrestling family. I mean, his dad was promoter up there in Calgary, for all those years. And so he grew up in the business like I did. And he had it.
Was there a piece of you, because you and Bret, you're both second generation guys, you both got this legacy, very like-minded performers. Was there any piece of you that was like had any jealousy when Bret Hart became WWF champion?
Not jealous of him, just, because I admired his work. Here's a guy who is definitely capable. I mean, there's no doubt that Bret Hart had the wrestling talent. No doubt. I mean, was he deserving? Absolutely. And, it's like, was I disappointed because I wasn't selected? Absolutely. And, and I don't know, I don't know all of, and the other thing is maybe I should have played politics a little more. Maybe I should have spoken up and said, hey, look, because I mean, there've been guys that, have done that and say, look, if you're not going to go with me, then I'm going. Well, there was a time when you could say that and go to another territory.
Yep.
Now, if you say I'm leaving, well, there's the door. Don't let it hit you in the butt, because there was no place else to go, because the entire United States was Vince's territory.
Now there's thousands of people waiting to take that spot if you want to leave. So good luck if that's what you decide to do. All right. Next up, we've got Pat Lynn, who asked a question that he also asked on Ask Jake Anything. So let's ask it here. And actually, you might have better insight since you're good buddies with this guy. Pat asks, what did you think of your old buddy Steve Keirn as Skinner?
I thought Skinner was great.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, I tell everybody, I said, if Steve Keirn and I hadn't become friends in Atlanta because we were both there at the same time, like we got to where we were, riding together a lot because we got along so well. And, he didn't have an apartment. He had bought a house. That's smart. I mean, didn't know how long he was going to be there, but instead of throwing your money away on rent, he says, why not get a house? And, then when I leave here, I'll sell the house, and so that's basically, but anywhere where he was located, was not where I had been. I've been staying down, in South Atlanta, real close to the airport. And so this was not there anyway. It was on something off of Memorial Drive, and very near. It was in Stone Mountain. And so, and I tell everybody, I said, if I had not become friends with Steve Keirn and moved to that part of Atlanta, I would never have met my wife. Because I met my wife at the swimming pool at the apartment complex where I had an apartment.
How about that?
And how about that? So, thank you, Steve. Anyway, Steve was in my opinion, he's a great worker.
Yeah.
And he did it really good, buddy. He did it really good. It's like, sometimes I think Steve should have got even a bigger push.
Honestly, it was a cool gimmick, and it's something that people still think about today, like, because he would chew licorice and it looked like tobacco, and he had this big long beard and it's like pouring down into it. It was gross. But like
that's a whole idea. Skinner.
Skinner. And what's funny too is like, before he was Skinner, his gimmick was basically handsome guy. That was his whole thing, one of the fabulous ones. And it was almost like a Chippendale gimmick. And so he's going from that being handsome guy coming to the Fed, and now he's a crocodile hunter. But you like the gimmick change for him, huh?
I did. I loved it.
He owned it, and that's like the real key, isn't it? Where it's like, if you're gonna, even if you get a gimmick that you think sucks or is not that good, if you own it, you can make a lot of it. Like Dusty Rhodes did, like Matt Borne did with Doink. On paper, Doink is a terrible character. They're making you a clown, but Matt owned it, and it turned out great.
Yeah, well, Dusty with polka dots.
He made it work.
Oh my gosh, Sapphire, where's my Sapphire?
Not to mention, like, Akeem, he goes from being one-man gang to now he's Akeem the African Dream.
Yeah,
On
yeah.
paper, that's horrible. That's a horrible gimmick change, but he owned it, and he just made it work. All right, guys, it is time to take a quick break to talk about a subject that I know is near and dear in the hearts of all men everywhere. Of course, I'm talking about your penis. So we all know that guys enter the room dick first, and that's because our penis is like one of our most important appendages, right? And it's really important that that little guy acts up when he's supposed to. I mean, we've all been there as guys, right? You're in the bedroom, your partner's ready, you're ready, but you look down there between your legs and your little guy's just down there staring at the carpet. That doesn't work for me, brother. That's why I turned to Blue Chew. Blue Chew isn't just a tablet, it's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting, like somebody gave your little partner down there an energy drink and he's just ready to go. I mean, don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself, pal. Blue Chew is going to get that thing so hard you could hammer a nail with it. You could hang a paint can off of it. You couldn't turn the head of it with a pipe wrench. There are a lot of ways to describe Blue Chew's wonderful effects, but more than anything, it's about giving you confidence. Confidence is key, and if you're not feeling it, you know that your partner is not going to be feeling it either, and then nobody has a good time. Take advantage of Blue Chew. It might just be giving you the best sex of your entire life, and you've been missing out on it up until this moment. Not anymore. We're hooking you up. And Blue Chew is about more than just performance, too. This is also about legacy. You know that your partner is in a group chat talking about how things went or didn't go in the bedroom. Give them something to talk about. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options right now at BlueChew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use promo code EGAP at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety info. And we want to thank Blue Chew for sponsoring Everybody's Got a Pod. Tanner Eagle is up next, and Tanner asks, favorite hobbies, fishing or hunting, or favorite movies or TV shows? Let's start with favorite hobbies. Ted, are you more of a fisherman or a hunter?
Oh gosh, I never really had a lot of time to do either. And now when I was in Arizona, I lived in this little town that was out in the desert, and there were, you didn't see a lot of deer, but you would see a lot of jackrabbits and jackrabbits and coyotes, out in the desert, but I never really was a big hunter. I mean, I just never got a chance to do it much, like in, and my, dad, Mike DiBiase, in Omaha, Nebraska, it's like, I'm trying to think, it was, and he had hunted, but, hadn't had much time to do it. And, I think he and I went pheasant hunting, we used a shotgun, the pheasant fly and you shoot them out of the sky.
Yeah.
But I'm just, I don't know why, but it's just never been. And a lot of people. I had a cabin on a lake, and I live about 100 miles from where that cabin is. It's over in Louisiana, and it was on a really nice lake, the cabin I had, and we would go there for the summers and. Go skiing and doing all that stuff and just having fun and fishing, but I was never much of a fisherman. I guess I was like, I'm not that patient.
Yeah, that sounds boring to me.
When's that? When's he gonna bite?
Hunting always sounded miserable to me too, because I'm from Pennsylvania and the hunting happens here in the winter, and all my buddies, they'd be like, yeah, I gotta get up at whatever, like 5 a.m. and go out in the cold and sit in this tree stand and wait for like a deer to come by. I'm like, that sounds fucking terrible, dude. I'm gonna be asleep while you're doing that.
Marcus, and I'm with you because I've been in a few of those tree stands, but it was, I don't, it wasn't the dead of winter and it wasn't snowing. I said, if it was the dead of winter and it was snowing, I'd have been in bed.
Nope.
Not
No,
a tree.
thank you. Tanner did follow up with your favorite movies or TV shows. You like Westerns, right?
Yeah, I like Westerns. I'm trying to think, oh my gosh, it was the story of Wyatt Earp.
Oh, Tombstone.
Tombstone. Tombstone is one of my favorite movies, and I guess it's one of my favorite movies because Wilcox, Arizona, where I grew up for a portion of my life, where my grandmother had a truck stop, and then she, the interstate got around Wilcox, and so 35 miles west, where and closer to Tucson, is a little town called Benson, and it's right off the interstate. So she had a truck stop there. Well, Tombstone is about maybe 20 minutes south of Benson. And so, Tombstone, Arizona, been there, done that, seen that. Actually, one of Wyatt Earp's brothers is buried in the cemetery, the old cemetery in Wilcox, Arizona. And the story is, he got in a fight with somebody there, because, it used to be that the main street was right, very close to the railroad tracks, and that he wasn't quick enough on the draw and got killed. And so I've actually seen his tombstone in Wilcox, Arizona's cemetery.
How about that?
Yeah, but Tombstone, just the whole Wyatt Earp story is fascinated me.
Now, were you a big John Wayne guy too?
Oh yeah.
Who doesn't like John Wayne, right?
Yeah. John
Rio
Wayne.
Bravo. You ever see Rio Bravo?
Oh yeah.
Dude, that movie's so good.
I'm trying to think. What was it? It was what was the movie? Oh gosh. The Alamo.
Ah, yeah.
John Wayne, The Alamo.
Fantastic.
It's like it's the first movie where I saw John Wayne actually get killed.
Yeah.
And he dies in the movie. And it so upset me.
Yeah, it's weird seeing him get killed in a movie.
You talk, and you talk about a true story. There it is, man. It's
all right, let's see now. Next up, we've got Rich Martin, and Rich wants to know, how did you come up with the Power Slam? I don't imagine you invented the Power Slam, right? It was just your finish for a while.
No, I didn't invent it. I'm trying to think who I saw do that first, and I can't even remember that either. But yeah, it was one of those things. It was kind of like there were guys who would like you hit the ropes and you had to come off, and sometimes you would stop them and then take them and slam them. And so I just said, well, why don't we just do it this way? And when you come, I'll just go right over with you.
Turn it into one big motion.
Yeah, the Power Slam.
I just saw something on the internet recently, like I'm talking 2 or 3 days ago, where it was clips, and it said, who had the better Power Slam, Ted DiBiase or Road Warrior Animal? And so that it would show a bunch of clips of you doing it, and then a bunch of clips of Animal doing it, and pretty much everybody in the comments said DiBiase, you had the best.
Yeah.
What made you decide to start doing the $1 Million Dream or the Figure 4 instead of
again, because I had to do something that I could do to anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the Power Slam was great, but
I'm not gonna get Earthquake up with that thing.
I'm not gonna get Earthquake or Yokozuna up with the Power Slam. So I had to come up with something that was that I could do on anybody, and that was the $1 million dream. Yeah, which is just a version of a sleeper hole. So.
One more and we're getting out of here. Dave Kemp wants to know, I imagine you've been asked this, but I've never heard it anywhere. Who were your 5 favorite guys to work with? So, Ted, we know that Jake Roberts is one of them. We've talked about that here on the show on many occasions. I know you loved working with Jake. I need 4 more. Who are the 4 other guys that you loved working with?
Well, a couple of these guys are going to be older guys that helped me in the earlier years of my career. One of those would be Harley Race.
Great one.
Oh my gosh, Dory Funk Jr.
Oh yeah,
Terry Funk, and who did I have a good long run with?
Dick Murdoch.
Oh my God, Dick Murdoch. Yeah, thank you, Dick Murdoch. It's kind of like even today, Dick Murdoch doesn't get enough credit. Dick was so good. It's just that, but you never knew which Dick Murdoch was going to show up, because he would clown around a lot, and sometimes do goofy things even in the ring, like he'd get hit and go down, and he'd do like a circle, like the Three Stooges, in the ring, and it's kind of like he was great when he was really on. He was great when he was wanting to be entertain the crowd or entertain the boys in the back, doing that stuff. That's to me. If Dick had stayed serious about it, he could have been a world champion easily. The world champion.
You're not the only person I've heard say that about Dick and how good he was.
He was awesome.
So we've got Jake Roberts, Harley Race, Dory Funk Jr., Terry Funk, and Dick Murdoch. Now, Ted, I'm going to give you a chance to replace one of these guys if you want to. You don't have to, but I'll just throw a name out there. I know you didn't work with him a bunch of times, but you do always put over that you had great matches with Bret Hart. So would you replace any of these guys with Bret Hart?
No.
Nah, sticking with him. I don't blame you. That's a murderer's row of performers.
And I think if Bret Hart had an opportunity to talk about any one of those guys, he would put them over highly.
Well, Ted, that is going to wrap us up for our 26th edition of Ask Ted Anything. As always, it was a great one. We've got plenty more questions, and we'll get to them next time. And yeah, brother, I appreciate all of your insight and perspective as always. It's irreplaceable getting to talk to you every week. It's such a blessing, and I'm glad to have you as my friend.
Thank you, man. That's ditto. I'm glad you're, so when is this match you're having?
It is tomorrow as this episode is coming out, this Saturday in Dayton, Ohio for Appalachian Championship Wrestling. It's a cool event. So, like, even if you're not coming for wrestling, if you're a Cleveland sports fan or a Cincinnati sports fan, like Ken Anderson's going to be there, former quarterback for the Bengals, and like some basketball players, baseball players. Plus, Marcus D'Angelo is going to be there beating the shit out of the Powers of Pain. So go ahead and check that out.
Sure. I'm going to give you my blessing. Good luck. When I say good luck, I mean good luck. Those two guys are monsters.
They sure are. I'm going to do my best. And yeah, you know what? If I can get my hands on the footage, that might be something fun for us to do here on the podcast. Is let's watch it back on the show. You can assess my performance and see how we did.
Okay, man.
Yeah, man. I'll look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right, buddy. Take care of everything. And as I go, I must remind everybody that everybody's got a price for the $1 Million Man.
See you guys next time right here on Everybody's Got a Pod.
Everybody's got a pod.